Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm a slightly ill Gurdyist, and today I'll tell you about some unconventional things that I use to make my life as a Gurdyist easier. Cucumber. Hear me out. Imagine you're in the middle of France, in the middle of summer, in the middle of a heat wave. You have just left your moist nerd cave with your Gurdy and you're worried that because of the humidity difference, the wood might crack. You take a piece of cucumber, you put it into a bag, and you put this cloth bag in your Hurdy-Gurdy case. The cucumber will dispense moisture slowly over time, and it will keep the wood moist. Make sure that no water comes directly on the Hurdy-Gurdy. If you don't have a cucumber, take a piece of toilet paper, make it wet and squeeze out all the moisture, and wrap it in another piece of toilet paper and put it in your Gurdy case. Like that, you'll have a moisture dispenser in your case for the really dry days. If you really want to know how dry exactly the air is, use a hygrometer. This one can be linked with an app so that you just look on your phone and then you know whether it's really so dry that you should use a cucumber. But I've also been told to not be too paranoid about cracks in the wood. I have heard anecdotal evidence that despite having a crack, a Gurdy sounded just fine, if not better than before. However, telling me to not be paranoid is like telling a fish to stop swimming. The next thing that I use all the time is baby powder. Especially in summer when it's really hot and I'm sweating all over, then it can really help to put a bit on the trompette hand, and it will take out the moisture and the crank will go really smoothly. I don't like when it sticks to the hand and then I'm worried that I might get calluses or something. I also apply it to my forearm or the palm of the left hand, wherever I could touch the wood and where I could potentially hang with my skin. And when it is really hot and playing the Gurdy feels like a workout, I even apply it under my trompette armpit so that the sweaty skin doesn't rub together and doesn't give me an itch. It's also quite useful when you're at the beginning of a concert and you notice your hands are sweating. So it immediately takes the clammy feeling away. I guess there are different philosophies when it comes to being the most comfortable while you practice. Some people also say that it's better to practice being uncomfortable so that whenever you are in the wild, you then have no issues playing. However, I think it's really easy to just take a little bit of the baby powder with me and use it on the go. So I really prefer the comfort of dry hands. One word of caution when you use the baby powder: do not get it on the wheel. I'm going full beauty influencer here. So this little thing is a hotel mute, and the idea actually came from one of you guys. Thank you very much. The user I Am a Philosopher suggested or gave me the idea that a hotel mute could be really good for making Hurdy-Gurdys quieter. The strings, when they vibrate, they carry the sound onto the bridge and the bridge carries it to the wood. The less the bridge is able to resonate and to move around freely, the less sound is produced while you play. This is actually a viola bridge, and the violin maker who sold it to me for €6 made a little hole in here so that it would really fit on my Hurdy-Gurdy bridge. And you stick it on the bridge and therefore it moves less and the Gurdy stays quieter. I have only just got this. I have tried it a few times in a hotel, and the way it seems to work is that the Gurdy always stays at a very quiet level that I would normally only achieve when I use the wheel really slowly. Even if I have a normal turning speed for the wheel, the Gurdy will stay relatively quiet. This is made from rubber. There are also some with a metal core. The heavier the mute, the quieter the Gurdy will stay. I have great hopes for this. You can use it, of course, when you want to play late at night or when your neighbors are really sensitive, but I think that it could also work when you have your strings set up so you can play harmonies and chords on them. And then you use this on the bridge. If you have a relatively quiet voice, you can still sing over it. I'm very much looking forward to playing around with this. I'm also really happy that this idea came from a comment from one of you guys. I would be really happy if this little corner of the internet could be an exchange of ideas between Gurdyists. Leave me a comment about what your own Hurdy-Gurdy life hacks are. If one of you knows a way of how to tune the tangents without getting a massive back pain, please tell me. I usually shrimp over my instrument. I get neck pain or spine pain, whatever, even on the next day. One technique is to only do one tangent, one key at a time every day, and like this you constantly have a well-tuned instrument. But one thing that helps for sure is to have as much lighting as possible. When I tune the tangents, I use this headlamp, which is great because I can like tilt it down, it is very bright, I can see everything that I do, and I don't have to struggle additionally to come closer to the instrument. I can see everything really well. Speaking of tuning, personally I have never had to live with bad screwdrivers. I have heard from other people that bad screwdrivers can really ruin your life. So what makes these special, I guess, is that the top part is movable, so you don't have to rotate your entire wrist when you twist, but you just hold it on top and then do this very gently. I think the lower part is magnetic, so your screws don't roll away. Overall, I'm just pretty satisfied with those. None of this is sponsored. I don't care about the brands. I just recommend a good headlamp, good screwdrivers, good talcum, baby powder, whatever. The next thing around the tangents that is useful is graphite. Because the Hurdy-Gurdy is a living instrument made from wood, it also changes with the seasons. Sometimes the wood can swell, especially around the tangent box. You notice that sometimes keys get stuck. One of the first aid solutions is to put a bit of graphite or just pencil onto the key, and that might help it to move better. However, the long-term solution is to again put graphite or pencil all over the key and then move it around a lot, play with it, and then in the end take out the key, look in the hole of the key box, and there you can see pretty nicely with those graphite markings where exactly the key box is too small. And then you take the set of wood files that you should own as a Gurdyist and you sand down the key box and sand it just very smoothly, ever so slightly, because you don't want to end up with a too big hole that's really annoying to fix. I think only file where you see the graphite markings, and like this your key should get unstuck. It's really obvious as a Gurdyist that you use cotton, and it's also obvious that people have different opinions on different kinds of cotton that they want to use. But something that might be a little bit less obvious is that you should use the right cotton for the right job, and that can sometimes mean having different kinds of cotton on different strings. Initially on my Gurdy, the trompette was a little bit too quiet for me. So we fixed that both by filing a little bit away at the chien and using heavier strings, but something that really helped was using the right cotton. You can see here that this is relatively lumpy cotton. That is simply from the supermarket. I use that for my trompette strings. I use it sometimes also on the low drones. Whereas for the melody strings, I use this very soft, very long fibered Egyptian cotton that Barnaby gave me. The sound it creates is a lot smoother. Like this, I feel I have a pretty good compromise between having a very lyrical melody string and still quite a fierce trompette. One thing I wasn't using for a very long time is a tuner. The reason I wasn't using it was I wanted to train my ears. I wanted to be able to tune my instrument by myself in any situation. However, it takes a little bit longer, and it's also susceptible to your surroundings, and it can be relatively difficult when you're on the street playing or at an event or in a session that you then say, oh wait guys, I need 5 minutes to tune my instrument. It's relatively boring to watch a Gurdyist tune. In order to make the process quicker, I use this tuner. If you use a specific tuning for your Hurdy-Gurdy like Kirnberger 2, I recommend using a tuning app for that. Tune your strings to Kirnberger 2 while you have the tuner on and see where on the tuner that then brings you. And then if you are out there and you don't want to use your mobile phone for tuning, you can simply go to the same little bit on the tuner. Since we're talking about the sound of the Hurdy-Gurdy, clothespins can be really cool. You can use either a clothespin or any other thing that you can hang off a string, but that doesn't hurt the string. So ideally no metal with sharp edges. Make sure to not hurt your strings. You can hang stuff off of your string or let it touch it slightly, or maybe even glue it to your instrument with some tape to distort the sound in an analog way. If you don't have a pickup that puts your Gurdy into an effect pedal and you get all sorts of crazy sounds, you can get all sorts of analog crazy sounds just by hanging things off your strings. And last but not least, if you're new here, then you don't know my footrest yet. This wonderful thing has been invented for guitar players, for example. I use it for my right foot. I really like to play with both feet firmly on the ground instead of the left leg being somewhere up in the air. I just feel more stable when both feet are on the ground. And so I sit high, I elevate my right leg with the guitar rest. Even if you don't have any posture problems, it still makes you very independent of the kind of stools that you find when you go to some sort of venue. When you're at a session and you only have super high chairs and it's really annoying with the Gurdy, then the footrest is definitely the thing that I recommend. Let me know in the comments what your Hurdy-Gurdy life hacks are and whether this video was any help for you. And yeah, that's it. Stay tuning!